Well, good evening, everyone. It is Sunday, April 14th here. Wanted to do an update forecast video on the potential for severe weather tomorrow. So that would be Monday, April 15th. Want to jump right in here. This is our day two Storm Prediction Center outlook for the entire United States. So we can see our main event is going to be here across much of the southern U.S., including the southern plains, areas like Oklahoma City, possibly even into the Dallas Fort Worth area, places like Wichita up into northern Kansas, and then much of Nebraska, including the Lincoln, maybe Omaha area as well. So we also have a little bit of a severe weather risk across kind of the Virginia, North Carolina area here. But our main event is going to be here. We do have two different level 3 enhanced risks, these orange colors here, again, Nebraska and Kansas, as well as western Oklahoma into northwest Texas. So we're going to have a big low pressure system sitting out here, and it's going to really trigger these severe weather events right here, and then a little bit of a stalled front here across the mid-Atlantic. So that is our risk looking at tomorrow. When we look at the actual categories of risk, our tornado risk, we do have a broad 5% tornado risk here in our brownish color, again, from northwest Texas up into much of Nebraska. We also have a little bit of a damaging wind risk. Let's see our hail risk first. So this is our hail risk. Two main areas, again, where those enhanced risks are. That's likely where we're going to see our largest hail, but anywhere in these kind of dashed marks here could see significant hail. So really all the way down to around San Angelo and all the way up almost into South Dakota. Any of those discrete supercell storms will likely have the largest hail, but any of these storms will be capable of producing hail up to damaging hail as well. So that is what our kind of environment looks like. Now, when we move into looking at kind of the satellite presentation, what we looked at yesterday was we could barely see this upper level trough coming in. Now you can see that spinning right here over kind of Nevada, Idaho, and Oregon here. You can kind of see that spin in the atmosphere right here. And then we've got a lot of this dry air here, this yellow that's kind of being pulled in across the desert Southwest. A little bit of moisture here from the Pacific that's kind of moving up over that dry air. And so this is going to be a factor for our severe weather tomorrow as this low continues to move towards kind of Wyoming, Colorado area. And then it really is going to ignite those storms here across our southern plains. So that's kind of what we see on satellite. Again, that'll be our big player for tomorrow. When we jump into some of our model data this evening, did want to take a look at moisture. And before we look at what the models are showing for moisture tomorrow, I thought it actually might be helpful to look at moisture that's in place right now across much of Northwest Texas. So this is our West Texas mesonet. And so this looks at current dew point temperature readings. So here in Wichita Falls, we currently have a 67-degree dew point. Up here in Odell, kind of almost in the southwest Oklahoma, 67-degree dew point. We've got close to mid 60s here, Hefner, Seymour, areas like Throckmorton, really all this corridor from kind of the area of the eastern Texas panhandle here, kind of down to around the Sweetwater, Texas area. We've got upper 50s into 60s, even mid and upper 60s dew points here. This isn't likely going to move a whole lot further west. You can see these really dry air here from Lubbock, really across the I-27 corridor here. We're probably not going to see much change here with this moisture significantly improving and moving to the west. So it does look like somewhere kind of along the Cap Rock, somewhere probably in this area, is about as far as that better moisture will probably get. And so it looks like our storms will probably develop somewhere in this area tomorrow. But again, already some decent moisture that's in place here about 9 p.m. on Sunday evening. Now, when we look at our HRRR model, this looks at late morning time tomorrow. Again, moisture, those 60-degree dew points kind of setting up almost exactly where they are right now. So, not expecting that to move much overnight. Now, as we move through our late morning into our afternoon, we will see that moisture move a little bit further west, and especially this dry line here really start to kind of tighten up. And so, really dry air back behind it, and really warm, unstable, moist air out to the east. And so that is going to certainly tighten up as we go into our early afternoon. And then as we move forward in time and we get to around the 4 to 5 p.m. hour, we're going to have a pretty sharp dry line from the eastern Texas panhandle into northwest Texas here, where we've got low to mid 60s dew points here, very, very dry air back here on the west side of the dry line. And this is likely going to create some convergence here where you've got some winds kind of moving out of the southwest behind it, kind of the south, southeast in front of it. And that should create enough convergence to fire off some storms right in this area. And so that's kind of what we're looking at when we look at that moisture. If we go look at our actual simulated reflectivity, and we move forward in time about 1 hour, this would be 6 p.m., we can see a couple different storms are simulated to fire. And again, this would be right across northwest Texas, anywhere from probably that maybe post area, possibly further to the west. I could see storms firing up. This is looking at really kind of that Haskell to Seymour area. And then this storm kind of tracking off to the east northeast over the next couple hours. And so you can see that it actually shows these storms kind of dying out for the most part by about 8 or 9 p.m. It's possible that we'll see that happen. I think that's due to the strength of the cap, that the model's not doing a very good job of kind of understanding and kind of developing storms with that cap. It certainly could happen that we see them choked out, but I think we'll see some strong enough storms to where they'll likely persist longer than what models are showing here. And so that's something to keep in mind. But again, this is a pretty strong signal. This has been very consistent, really since last night. This area here across northwest Texas, maybe southwest Oklahoma, of being that area where you first see storms fire up. So because that is consistent, we're going to have moisture, we're going to have convergence along the dry line. I do think that's pretty realistic for tomorrow. Now, again, I wouldn't be surprised if we see storms again. Right now, we're seeing this fire between 5 and 6 p.m., kind of in this northwest Texas area, Haskell, Seymour, Vernon area. Wouldn't shock me if storms fired a little bit further to the west here and then moved east. Sometimes that does happen, especially with the HRRR. So wouldn't be surprised when the NAM completely comes in if we don't see that a little bit further to the west, maybe along that cap rock. So again, the specific timing could be a little bit off, but I think we're likely to probably see storms somewhere around that 4 to 5 p.m. timeframe tomorrow, and then into the overnight. And again, this model doesn't really show a whole lot of activity progressing off to the east. It does show a little bit of redevelopment here across kind of West Texas and the Big Country, as well as here in Southwest and kind of central Kansas. This would be 4Z. So we're talking about, again, really about 10, 11 p.m. So likely pretty well into those overnight hours, lifting up across central and northern Kansas, as well as maybe some storms moving from the Abilene into the Dallas Fort Worth area by kind of that, mid overnight, maybe early morning hours. And I think we could see it develop more than what the model is showing. Again, I think the capping is probably an issue here. So that's why Dallas Fort Worth certainly is in the risk, as well as Oklahoma City, Tulsa, areas like that. So does look like a pretty active day tomorrow. Definitely have a way to get watches and warnings. Kind of keep an eye to the sky if you have plans tomorrow afternoon and evening. Make sure that you're aware of kind of what the weather's doing if you live here in the central U.S. And certainly does look like there'll be an opportunity to chase tomorrow evening. So I will plan to have a live stream out there once storms get going as well. So hope everybody has a good rest of your Sunday evening and a good start to the work week. And I'll see you back for the next video.